Hey, this is Mr. Steinbach here again for Spring Into Math 6. Today we're talking about equivalent rates. Alright, so equivalent rates. First, let's talk about what a rate is. Last time we talked about ratio, now we're moving on to rates. So a rate is a special ratio that represents an amount in terms of a single unit of time or some other quantity. So it's bringing it to like that idea of 1 if possible. So we know that we're working with a rate when you see the word per. And you hear that all the time, you just don't even realize it. When you're at the grocery store, it's how many pounds per dollar or how many miles per gallon. That's a really common one these days. It's all about per, and that's talking about a rate. So let's look at this first example. And this kind of goes along with that miles per gallon idea. The car gets 15 miles per gallon. Here we're comparing the number of miles to 1 gallon. So we're bringing it back to that per, we're bringing it back to 1 gallon. So this is a rate. It is the rate of miles per gallon of gasoline. So when you hear on TV that a certain car gets 40 miles per gallon, so it's going 40 miles potentially with 1 gallon of gasoline, versus a different rate, maybe a truck for instance might get 22 miles per gallon if it was a really efficient one. So how do we write a rate in ratio form? So let's look at an example. John ran 3 miles in 21 minutes. So he has 3 miles, 21 minutes. So you write this in a fraction form where you put 3 over 21. And you can see here I have 3 miles over the 21 minutes. Let's look at another example. We have apples, and they're on sale for 99 cents per pound. So there's that idea. You hear that word again, per. That's really tipping you off that we're talking about a rate. So when we talk about this rate, we're asking how much do the apples cost? And it's 99 cents per pound, so you put the price of apples over the number of pounds would equal 99 cents over 1. So that would be your rate. 0.99 or 99 hundredths over 1. All right. When a rate is compared to 1, it is called a unit rate. So when we were talking about miles per gallon, you're always talking about a unit rate. It's always to 1 gallon. So unit rates and rates can be equivalent to each other. So let's look at this example and see what I mean. Here we have Karen, and she ran 4 miles in 20 minutes. So you put in this instance, I'm putting the 20 minutes over the 4 miles. So then you can see here, I want to reduce it because the idea is to get to 1 so that I have that unit rate. So when I have 20 and 4, just like if I had a regular fraction where I had 4 over 20 for instance, 4 is my greatest common factor still. So I'm going to pull that out of both numbers. And so 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So essentially, she ran 1 mile in 5 minutes, or every 5 minutes she ran 1 mile. So that's that unit rate. It's because it's going to that idea of 1. All right, Miss Harris's class went apple picking. Each student picked 8 apples. At this rate, how many apples were picked by 7 students? So, at first we have 8 apples by 1 student. That's that unit rate that we just talked about. So that's this idea right here, you can see, where it's 8 over 1. But then I want to know if 7 students went, what would the outcome be? How many apples would be picked total by all 7 students? So then I'm just going to multiply both the top and the bottom number, the numerator and the denominator. In this instance, the number of apples and the number of students, both by 7, because if 1 student would pick 8 apples, and that's that unit rate, how many would 7 pick? So I'd have 8 times 7 is 56, 1 times 7 is 7, so they're equivalent fractions. So my answer would be 56 apples by the 7 students. Okay, so now let's look at this one. Lori picked 12 peaches in 6 minutes. What is the unit rate? Well, let's put it in a fraction form. I'm going to put 12 over 6. Okay, because she picked 12 peaches in 6 minutes. So if I want to know what's the unit rate, I have to try to get it to 1. So let's reduce it. So I have to think, what's my greatest common factor that both 12 and 6 share? And remember, it can only be as large as the smallest number. So you have to first see, well, does 6 go into 12? If it does, that's going to be your number. And since it does, we're going to divide a 6 out of both of them. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So essentially, Lori is picking 2 peaches per minute. So that would be my unit rate, 2 peaches per minute. Okay, so hopefully you guys have a good idea of this rate idea and the unit rate. We're going to be building upon this and the idea of ratios in the next coming videos. Thanks for watching.